This video summarizes the work of the University of Maryland Diversity Education Task Force and explains its recommendations. Let's start with why this task force was formed. One factor was persistent requests by undergraduate students to modify the general education diversity requirement. They have repeatedly petitioned the Provost, the Dean for Undergraduate Studies, and the Senate Educational Affairs Committee for changes. Another factor was the combination of student demands following the 2016 national elections and the campus murder of Lieutenant Richard Collins. This prompted creation of two task forces. The first focused on strategies for improving the campus diversity climate and released its report in spring 2018. The second, the Diversity Education Task Force, had responsibility for exploring changes to the diversity curriculum. This presentation outlines the work and recommendations of that second group. A frequent question is who served on this task force. In addition to co-chairs Oscar Barberin and Bill Cohen, it included 5 faculty members with expertise in diversity issues, including Janelle Wong, Lourdes Salamanca Riba, Ebony Shockley Terrell, Thurka Sangaramurthy, and me, Cindy Stevens. We also had the help of 3 undergraduates from student government, Sanam Akpada, Alicia Desai, and Alyssa Conway, and Resident Life Associate Director Stephen Petkus, who helped build the Common Ground Dialogue program. Our charge was to consider how diversity and civic engagement education could help create a more inclusive campus community. Specific elements of our charge were review diversity education on campus and how this could be improved, consider existing research and best practices, examine general education and other educational and training initiatives, and explore how civic engagement education might be incorporated. This was added because the university system has been concerned about political polarization in the U.S. and asked member universities to expand education in this area. We approached our charge by seeking answers to 4 questions. What are the characteristics of effective diversity and civic engagement education? What are we currently doing on campus in these areas? What steps might be taken to strengthen this work? And how might we introduce and scale these changes for our campus? To answer these questions, we reviewed a wide range of university historical documents. We also relied on relevant research findings as summarized in a 2016 Association for the Study of Higher Education report, Rethinking Cultural Competence in Higher Education. That ASHE report was pivotal for understanding state-of-the-art diversity education. We also reviewed existing campus programs and conducted a focus group with a student advisory board for the Office of Undergraduate Studies. Finally, we interviewed faculty, staff, and students from all different corners of campus. So what did we learn? The ASHE report highlighted several issues, including the value of connecting diversity issues to identity development, which helps students find relevance in this content, and the importance of building skills such as empathy or intergroup learning. It also clarified how the campus infrastructure can unwittingly undermine changes in diversity education. For example, predominantly white institutions like the University of Maryland often lack conditions to create a supportive environment for racial minority students. If we fail to recognize and change those conditions, students' experiences in informal campus settings can undermine the benefits of any diversity curriculum. 2 additional points were that students' first-year experiences are foundational in setting the tone and impact for later diversity education, and that ongoing faculty development is critical for creating inclusive learning environments. Regarding the current status of our diversity education, we noted that students' earliest diversity instruction on campus, namely UNIV 100 and the first-year book, is not mandatory for all new students. Our current Gen Ed diversity requirement is 2 courses with flexibility as to whether students take a skill building course. Students told us that their general education courses were sometimes taken late in their degree programs, which reduced their potential benefits to the campus diversity climate. We do offer many opportunities for students who seek out diversity-related experiences, such as global classroom courses and education abroad, yet this creates unevenness in diversity education. Some students may graduate with little or no diversity education, whereas others find a rich and robust curriculum. Finally, regarding our campus infrastructure, the climate survey and self-study offered several key points. The response of senior leaders to past hate bias incidents has caused many in the campus community to question their commitment to diversity and inclusion. Black and Latino faculty, staff, and students report feeling less safe on campus and a lower level of institutional commitment to diversity. And finally, although many campus units do offer diversity and inclusion initiatives, the university's size and decentralized structure means that, practically speaking, these initiatives tend to duplicate effort while at the same time isolating their benefits to individual units. Based on those findings, several principles drove our recommended changes to the undergraduate curriculum. First, we wanted the aspirational values identified by the Joint President-Senate Task Force to be shared early and broadly as the foundation for a constructive learning environment for all students. We also wanted to make sure that diversity education would be available to all students throughout their campus experience. Intellectually, diversity education has progressed beyond a static, generic view of culture in that unique cultural details and history matter. Given the state's historical treatment of Black and Indigenous populations, the university's location in Prince George's County and its 95-year exclusion of Black faculty and students, and the racial reckoning that emerged during 2020, we agreed that spotlighting issues of race and racism would be an appropriate campus-wide starting point for particularizing the study of culture and diversity. In line with the ASHE report, we agreed that an emphasis on identity formation and self-reflection would help students find greater relevance in their diversity education. And consistent with both the ASHE report and university system concerns about political divisiveness, we wanted to promote skill development for engaging with others who differ from oneself. We tried to balance these principles with several constraints. We wanted to avoid increasing the number of required credit hours for graduation so as not to slow down students' degree progress. We wanted to balance required with voluntary components, given evidence that making diversity education mandatory can reduce its effectiveness. We agreed that it was important to work toward broad involvement of the campus community, with an emphasis on the colleges in shaping and delivering diversity education for their graduates. And finally, we agreed that these changes require additional resources for staff in the Office of Diversity and Inclusion and the Teaching and Learning Transformation Center, as well as to support faculty members in modifying their courses and teaching skills. Now let's review the task force's recommendations. First, students need to be introduced and oriented to campus in ways that make clear our aspirational values and expectations for an inclusive, respectful learning environment. This can be achieved in several ways. One is through the development and delivery of a pre-arrival online training module that clarifies those aspirational values. This recommendation predated the campus-wide Terrapin Strong initiative, which launched in 2020. But would dovetail nicely with it as an introduction to that program. Beyond that, we explored ways to enhance UNIV 100 instructor training and provide incentives for greater participation in the first-year book program. Our second set of recommendations involved changes to general education. For the diversity requirement, we recommend changing its structure so that students take one theory-oriented and one practice-oriented course. For theory-oriented courses, we propose that all approved courses must include some content pertaining to race and racism. For practice-oriented courses, we propose a broader set of behavioral learning outcomes to build student skills. In addition, we endorse changes that are being pilot tested in academic writing and oral communication to add content focused on diversity and civic engagement. A third area includes increasing the awareness and attractiveness of our many optional diversity and civic education opportunities through the use of microcredentials. By tracking and awarding microcredentials to students who participate in these programs and marketing the value of their skills to prospective employers, we can create incentives for students to participate in these programs and for faculty to offer such programs. Finally, we recommend that all colleges and departments examine their major degree requirements with the goal of adding or improving discipline-specific diversity education. Faculty would identify diversity-related learning outcomes and instructional methods, such as modifying existing coursework or adding professional development workshops. Many academic units already offer such content, so expanding this across campus would enable us to learn from and build on those efforts. Let's review details of proposed changes to the major degree programs. The core idea is that students will find greater relevance and value in diversity education when it's offered in the context of their chosen disciplines. For example, students' race and gender will affect their career experiences regardless of whether they graduate in education, agriculture, or computer science, but it will do so in very different ways across those fields. Offering diversity instruction that grapples with discipline-specific challenges allows academic units to prepare students more effectively. Our recommendation is for all undergraduate degree granting programs to review their learning outcomes for diversity content and adopt or enhance both learning outcomes and instruction. As background, let's review how undergraduate major degree programs manage their curricula to clarify what our recommendations would entail. As part of our accreditation process, we regularly review data on whether degree programs are achieving their intended purpose. All undergraduate degree programs have identified a set of learning outcomes for their students to achieve. Nearly every year, programs collect sample data in the form of students' test results, writing projects, portfolios, and the like to review for quality. A cross-campus committee reviews these annual departmental and college analyses to ensure that we hold ourselves accountable for continuous improvement. If the task force recommendations are adopted, degree granting programs would review their current learning outcomes and, as appropriate, modify or add discipline-specific diversity learning outcomes. These would be chosen by faculty and could include a wide range of goals. For example, for students to understand the significance of diversity within the discipline's current demographic composition, how that affects its practice, and so on. Faculty would determine how to offer diversity instruction. They would be free to add diversity-relevant content to existing courses, provide professional development workshops, or add new courses if that were feasible and appropriate. Key to this recommendation's success is that ongoing learning outcome assessment processes would allow programs to improve their diversity curricula just as they do with other parts of their curriculum. A few examples may clarify. Here are 4 from different academic units that show how diversity education might vary by discipline. In the School of Architecture, Planning, and Preservation, being able to design structures and facilities to accommodate various disabilities is both important and relevant to the practice. In the Department of Geography, communication and collaboration with people across international settings is a key skill. Discerning the needs of diverse users as a basis for effective design and development of information systems was identified as relevant in the College of Information Studies. And finally, internalizing the ways that racism affects population health and what it takes to counteract that is essential for a degree in behavioral and community health. We skimmed learning outcomes in a few other major degree programs and found that many could be modified to fit with the task force's recommendations. Here are a few. In environmental science and policy, revising the learning outcome that pertains to key actors in the policy process to include consideration of specific diverse populations so that students explore those concerns in more depth would fit with the recommendation. Similarly, in computer science, focusing on communication with specific populations would fit the recommendation. For example, exploring gender differences in communication, given that most programmers are men, or defining the needs of specific audience and non-technical populations, such as those in different age cohorts or those with disabilities, would enable graduates to be more effective. Likewise, considering the strengths and weaknesses of students' leadership skills vis-a-vis different employee populations would be beneficial for management majors. Implementing curriculum changes will take time and effort, yet it need not be arduous. To reiterate, faculty members in major degree programs would phase in their goals and curriculum changes over time, starting by modifying program learning outcomes and instruction to include diversity-related content. As is true of all aspects of their programs, faculty have many options. They might supplement content in existing courses or introduce professional development workshops for students that could be partly outsourced if needed. A key issue is to consider what success would look like and build this into the assessment plan. The goal is to improve students' diversity education over time, and effective programs identify and build on what they do well. From a wider perspective, the kind of faculty development needed to improve diversity instruction is consistent across our recommendations. For example, creating inclusive classroom environments will be effective both in general education courses and in coursework for specific major degrees. Here are some suggestions that apply within academic units as well as across campus. Within departments and colleges, identifying in-house faculty mentors and incentivizing consultations with other instructors is one way to share expertise, as are the creation of discipline-focused faculty learning communities. The task force is exploring how to support this. At the campus level, we are exploring increased staffing within TLTC and ODI so that they have the capacity to offer course redesign workshops and provide training and facilitation skills. Similarly, opportunities exist to collaborate with the Academy for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, university librarians, and at the Clarice Performing Arts Center. In summary, we have a chance to re-envision diversity education in ways that can significantly improve the campus experience of minoritized students, faculty, and staff, and expand awareness, knowledge, and skills within dominant populations. Task Force members feel energized by the possibilities and hope that, as we embark on this process, you will too. Thank you to faculty and staff who generously shared their ideas with us in interviews and listening sessions. We invite you to email your comments and suggestions to our co-chairs,